my neighborhood.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to see a lot of it, Bert, and also we're going to be able to see some of the grounds as well. And I'll tell you what, it's you hit it right on the head. It'd be Point Piper, Toorak, all of those sort of areas, but with a much larger piece of land here. Just let me tell you about Graceland and what it represents. Many things, I think, to many people. There it is. There it is. It's the there's an aerial shot of it. You can see that bridge. That's the Mississippi River, the famous Mississippi River, and that bridge, of course, was in an M for Empress. Now there's an aerial shot of Graceland. This is built in 1910, and Elvis bought it, of course, in 1957 for $102,500, which was an enormous amount of money then. It's an enormous amount of money now, but you can imagine what it's worth by this time. It's a 23-room mansion on 14 acres of parkland, and it's hidden from the road by tall oak trees. There's a main highway runs out in the front, which I was quite surprised to see. Look at that. Isn't that a typical old Southern mansion? I mean, that's exactly what you'd expect to see, isn't it? Now, up there, where the camera's about to zoom into, that's Elvis's bedroom. That's the famous bedroom up there. Now, we're going to zoom through, and then when we come back, there we are. Now, that's the back of the house, and this is out in the back where all the horse paddocks are and everything else. So that's Elvis's huge office plus his dressing room, bathroom. There's the pool. That's off on one side of the house, and Elvis never used that pool. This is his favorite palomino. That's Uncle Earl, who's walking him. His name is Rising Sun, and he's 24 years old. There's some of the other horses out there. And there's, who is that on the left? There's somebody we know. Oh, there he is, there, he's stoned. That's Kevin Hunt. That's a $250,000 bar, TV area, sauna, spa bath, and private health club that Elvis built out in the back. Inside, it's unreal to see what he's built in there. Now, in order for us to do this program, we had to put a tower up, and 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 up. And there's one of your relatives, Bert, heard you sing. He's about to jump off. Now, over here, this is a car. It's incredible. It's worth over $100,000. It's a Black Hawk Stutz is what it's called. He bought it in 1973. And it's an absolutely incredible vehicle. It's still here out in the back. There's a Tennessee license plate, if people have never seen one before. You can see all of the fittings that they've got on this car. It's an absolutely remarkable car. There's another one, actually, just like it, that's gathering dust in a nearby garage. Have a look at the gear shift there. It's solid gold, that gear shift. And it's just an amazing vehicle. It's a shame that it's just sitting there. There's a little plaque that's on it, you know, to make sure that everybody knows that it's Elvis's own automobile. And now this one here is very special. This is the first car that Elvis bought for his mom. It's a pink Cadillac with a white top. And by the way, the funny part about it is he bought that car for his mother. I think it's a 1955 Cadillac. Bought it for his mother, and his mother couldn't drive. And Elvis just said that there was no way that he was ever going to part with this car. He just, he adored it, and he also adored the car because it gave him great memories of his mom. We're going to take a look inside here. You'll see something on the floor. This is, I think they have an all-leather, what do you call it, the floor mat on the floor, and it's actually got Elvis's initials and things engraved on it. That's Elvis's private chauffeur sitting there. You can see him. There it is, the EP with the music symbols down on the bottom. It's just mind-boggling to see everything that's here, Bert. You just can't believe what the place is like. It's so overwhelming, you know. Now, this is what's called the Memorial Garden. And there is buried Elvis, his mother, his father, his grandmother. And also buried there is his twin brother. Well, I don't think the twin brother's buried there, but there's a plaque commemorating his twin brother. People can come into the place and walk in there and go through those gardens, and they can look at those headstones that have been put down there, and they're allowed to wander around that area. See that TCB? That's the Elvis symbol. That's taking care of business. That's what that meant. Now, these are people on Elvis Presley Boulevard, right out in front. Bert, it doesn't matter what time of the day or night you come here, there are people gathered out front. We drove in this morning, 3:30 in the morning, and there were 3 people there waving things at us like asking for an autograph. They didn't have any idea who I was, but if you're going to be going onto the ground, that's it. And they snap pictures and take photographs all day long. Anyway, there's a great look at and some film about what it's all about. So you've had a great look at some of the film that we've got. We've got a lot more for you and a lot more to show you. I'm going to go inside because in just a couple of minutes I'm going to be able to introduce you to Elvis's cook of 15 years, the lady that prepared all his meals, and you're also going to be able to meet his cousin, Billy Smith. And Billy Smith is quite a character around here, a lovely little guy. So you all hang in there, and we'll be back with more from Elvis's mansion, Graceland, in Memphis, Tennessee. Bert, it was terrific talking to you, mate. Hang in there because you never know when I'm going to have to yell for help here. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
We'll see you all in a minute.
Right.
Okay, we'll see you in a minute. Everybody. Well, welcome back, everybody. I've just come in through what is the front hallway and the lounge room of the house, and I've come into this, which is the kitchen area. And this kitchen area here is a fabulous kitchen that Elvis kept open 24 hours a day. And this beautiful lady here, how are you? Are you okay?
Fine, how are you?
This is Mary Jenkins, and Mary was Elvis's cook for 15 years, and she prepared most of the meals for Elvis. So Elvis would eat any time of the day or night, wouldn't he, depending on when he woke up?
Yes, The hours that he, kept. Well, he would eat some mornings. He would call down for his breakfast early. Then again, it might be 12 o'clock at night when he'd call down.
So you were on call most of the time for any of that?
That's right. I would stay here until he called for his breakfast.
And
if it was 7 o'clock in the morning, I was here. It was 11 o'clock in the day, I was here. It was 11 o'clock at night, I was here. So I just stayed until he would decide he wanted breakfast.
Until he wasn't hungry anymore.
That's right.
Yeah. So did you bring it up to him as well?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, what would you usually prepare for him? Let's say, what was the breakfast like?
In the breakfast line? Yeah. Well, I would prepare bacon and eggs, ham and eggs, omelet, ham and egg omelet. And sometimes he'd have sausage and eggs and homemade biscuits.
What about the other meals that Elvis used to want to eat? I mean, like at night, sometimes they told me he ate a lot of things with gravy on them, and he loved sauerkraut and wieners and things like that.
Well, yes, he did. He would eat. He liked his hot dogs with kraut on top of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fix the hot dog for him, then put spread kraut across the top. And he loved his hamburgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
he loved your cooking because you do special things for him, did you, as well?
Well, he would always request that I would, try to be here whenever he got up to fix his food.
I want to thank you for coming in and talking to us.
Well,
it was really nice to meet you, and really nice to have a look at the kitchen as well. Say thank you to Mary Jenkins, will you? See? Remember your star. You just stay there. Okay. All right. I'm coming over here now because I want you to meet somebody else. This gentleman is coming over here now to talk with me. This gigantic fella here. We always give her. Billy doesn't mind. This is Elvis's cousin, and Billy, of course, was here all the time. Say hello to Billy Smith, will you please? A little applause for you from upstairs, right? Okay, that's nice of you to do that, Billy. That's really lovely. Billy, you, of course, grew up with Elvis.
Yes.
I mean, you were his confidant and you were his man, always with him, 24 hours a day here at Graceland?
Yes, just about. I lived on Graceland property here while Elvis was alive and everything. And it was a lot easier for me to come out here about being on the grounds. He could simply call up and say, I need you out here. So.
Listen, Billy, we're going to be talking to you a little bit later. We got a couple other people in. So you're going to take me around and show me downstairs where they spent a lot take you down. Okay, come on. You take us around through here, and we'll walk around now. Okay. Now, go ahead, Billy. Go ahead, just go through, and we'll open up the door, and we'll be right. Now, what are we going to see down here? What's down here?
This is the inn. It's where we kept most everybody, that came up and we'd have parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And,
gee, this is quite a staircase. Have a look at this here. This is all mirrored here. I can see 753 me's. I know. Unreal.
This is where you made your final inspection before you met everybody downstairs. Make sure you look good.
Well, I tell you what, you got enough angles here. Hello there. Hi. Okay, come on, we'll continue down, Billy. Anyway, Elvis really liked to have parties, didn't he?
Yes, in the earlier days he loved it. He, of course, later years he kind of.
Yeah. Go ahead, finish. Yeah, later years he kind of...
Later years he kind of, you know, just slacked off. He didn't have as many people up. He used to let a lot of the fans in and stuff, you know.
This was the early party room, and we've done some things here just for atmosphere. The radio is on, playing some music. That's the station he used to listen to all the time, is that right?
Right, uh-huh.
What was it, a country station?
Well, it was, yeah, country. Then it was rock and roll, but, you know, it's more of a country station now. And, of course, we call this the TV room, and the reason for that is because of the 3 TVs you see. They had 3 stations here.
Yeah.
And a lot of times football games would come on all 3 stations.
Don't tell me the score. Oh, no, it's all right. Go ahead.
And Elvis would watch all 3 football games at the same time.
He never wanted to miss anything, did he? So
No,
3
he tried
television
not
sets
to.
so we could have everything tuned in at the same time.
Right.
I noticed there's a... I'm sorry, fellas. There's a projector over there, a film projector. And where did he show that? Oh, on this screen over here.
On the screen, yes.
Yeah.
It's a 16-millimeter
And
projector.
Billy, you just about make that now.
Just barely, yeah. If I'd have been any shorter, I never would have made it.
Yeah.
There's a screen, you know.
Okay. And so how many people would they have in this room at one time?
I've seen as many as 40 people in at one time.
Yeah. And of course,
So
this room then, after a while, no longer became the entertainment room. They built the other one upstairs, which we're going to see a little bit later.
Right. They built the den on upstairs, and that's where we held most of our parties in.
So he just about had everything in here. 3 TVs, a screen for motion pictures, a huge lounge here for everybody to sit around in. We've got a bar over here as well. Nice, very nice setup room, isn't it?
Yes, it's very nice. It was very comfortable, and of course we still used it quite a lot. And this room here...
Oh, this looks special, this place, doesn't it?
This is the pool room. We had a lot of fun here. We'd play pool and do different things. And,
let's just get around here. I just want to get over here so I can take a look. You know what's interesting in here? Billy, I think I'll get down here with you because this light's a bit too high for me, and I don't want to miss being on camera, if you know what I mean. The interesting thing about this room to me is that the ceiling has this sort of tent-like effect, but the material is all the same. It's on the walls, like curtains, and also the lounges are all done in the same material.
Right,
Did Elvis have a lot to say about the decorating of these places?
Yeah, he usually picked out the color schemes for it and different things. And, of course, they wanted this room to match like this, the material and all. This was actually done in '75. This was redone.
Redone in '75?
In '75.
Oh, I see. And how was it done before that?
Before it was more of a brown color, brown and yellow.
And did they shoot a lot of pool? I mean, did they spend a lot of time in here?
Oh yes, we used to shoot pool for hours, and of course Elvis up there was a fairly good pool player, and of course if he wasn't, he always had the best on his side, so you know he never lost. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, in just a couple of minutes, we're going to be going back up. Billy will go up here, and we'll take him out to the other den, right?
Right.
And then I'm going to give you a chance, before I say goodbye to you for this segment, I'll give you a chance to hear one of our good Australian singers sing, okay?
Right. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a commercial break, and we will be back to take you into the other den where they spent most of the time entertaining, and that's really something to see as well. I mean, it may not be everybody's taste, but it certainly is different. So we'll be up there in just a minute. Say thank you to... Oh, you don't have to say thank you to him. You can thank him later, okay? We'll be back in a minute. Don't anybody go away. There's a lot more to see here, I'll tell you. Come on. All right, so this takes us out of that area, and now we come around up into this area. That's the...
This is the new den.
Okay, well, we'll be able to take a look around this, Billy. That's Kevin Arnett sitting in Elvis's favorite chair over there, isn't it?
Right. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Kevin, Billy Smith.
G'day, Billy.
We'll be talking to Kevin in a couple of minutes. You stay there.
Right, okay.
And don't you go away, all right? Hey, Billy, this is quite a room, and it looks like they spent an awful lot of time in this area of the house, didn't they?
Yeah, because of the big advent and everything, he likes to spend more time, and it's bigger, and it gives people a little more breather room. So.
Okay, well, and this is the new party place, sort of, isn't it?
Right.
Right.
This was added on.
Okay.
And
All right, well, Billy, I want you to be able to have a look. Because we've got this satellite going 2 ways now, you see.
Right.
You're going to be able to have a look at some Australian talent, like you did that opening number, which you told me you really liked, too.
yeah, I like. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we've got only one of Australia's best singers. Billy, wait a minute. Come
You
here.
want me to, oh, I thought you wanted me to leave.
No, I don't want you to leave me. Why would I want you to do that? I got no friends here except you. You haven't had a chance to see him officially. I mean, we sort of threw to him and alluded to him sitting over here in Elvis's favorite chair. That's quite a chair, isn't it? Say hello, Kevin Arnett, who's been here for a week.
G'day, Don. I've been waiting for nearly a week for it.
We have this little trouble with delay. Kevin's just working it for the first time, so you have to wait till the applause stops, okay? And then we can do it. Kev, so you came here a week before us.
Yeah, we've been here just over a week now, actually, and I would say this has to be the most exciting thing we've ever done. Don't you feel this?
Oh, I feel it, too. I mean, especially when you came here, there's some atmosphere in this place, isn't it? I mean, I'm anxious to see what it's going to be like when it's open, because later, of course, you're going to be taking us over to this brand new...
to the trophy room.
To the trophy room they set up. And wait, everybody, I tell you what, wait until you see what they've got over there and what they're lining up over there. I mean, it's unbelievable. They could collect this many things as a tribute to this man. Anyway, tell us about what you got, Ken.
Right, what I've been doing over the last week is collecting various film bits of Memphis, because Memphis really is Elvis Presley town. So what I'd like to do is to show you this bit of film and just show you what we've
The birth of the blues and the death of Martin Luther King.
Yeah, it's incredible. A very famous place. So let's have a little bit of this film here. Now, soon after Elvis and his family moved to Memphis in 1948, they moved into this housing authority block of apartments called Lauderdale Courts. Now, Don, they paid $35 a month for a two-bedroom apartment, but I guess in those days $35 a month was quite a lot. Now, when Elvis moved in, it was basically a white neighbourhood, but now it's 98% black, and we've got some lovely shots of some kids here outside Lauderdale Courts. This is where Elvis used to play when he was sort of around about 13, 14, 15, 16, right. So that's the place where they lived, Lauderdale Courts.
Probably now, the basis for the music.
Yeah. Now, about 20 minutes walk from the apartment block was the Humes High School, and it was here that Elvis gave his first public performance in class for his classmates. I'd love to have known what he sang on that occasion. Now, as we arrived on, all the kids came tumbling out of the street, the bell had just rung, and Elvis didn't become the focus of attention, we did. And of course, when Elvis... yeah, look at that.
Look at this.
The oldest rock star in the business. Now, after leaving school, Elvis's first full-time job was a truck driver at the Crown Electric Company. Now, he's going to show you a little photograph here. This is not the Crown Electric Company now, but it was right in this building we're going to see now, coming up on your screen. This is now B&H Hardware, but that's where he had a job at the Crown Electric Company as a truck driver just after he left high school.
Oh, right. Boy, you've done some research here.
Now,
I know that. Sun
yeah, now, it was during a lunch break that Elvis presented himself at Sun Recording Studios on Union Avenue in 1953. Now, he went in to make a record for himself, and it cost him $4. Then, just a year later in 1954, when Elvis was 19, he made his first commercial recording right here in the studio. I'm just about to take you in now. It was right there in that studio he made his first recording. It was a song, if you remember, Don, called That's All Right Mama.
Yeah, this was owned by Sam Phillips, these studios.
Yeah, those studios were owned by Sam Phillips in those days, not now, of course.
He owned that radio station that we were listening to downstairs in that games room.
Yeah. We're just having a look there at some record racks of country and western singers, because they record a lot of country and western here at the studio in Sun.
Right.
And that's the control booth you saw just there with that glass panel. And this is where Elvis would have stood with his musicians, making that first hit, That's All Right Mama. And, you know, the funny thing about this, Don, just after he made that song, within 2 weeks of recording that song, in July of 1954, that record was on the country music charts here in Memphis, and it was #3 within 2 weeks of recording it. And that's where it really began, in that Sun studio on Union Avenue.
In the new movie, This Is Elvis, of course, they shot some scenes in there. What's
now,
this?
As a result of that first record, Elvis made his first professional appearance at the bottom of the bill as a support at the Overton Park Shell on the 30th of July, 1954.
Hardly the International in Vegas, is it?
Yeah, I know, and just to support... He was supporting Slim Whitman, by the way. Now, within 2 years, Elvis was making so much money, he bought his first home on Orbiton Drive, a lovely suburb, by the way, and that house cost him $40,000, which I guess then, Don, was a lot of money.
Yeah.
A year later, he bought Graceland. Now, with all the money coming in, Elvis could now indulge his fetish for Cadillacs. And we went into the place where he bought them, and I spoke to a salesman. Here he is. This is Howard Massey.
Right.
And he told me that he sold Elvis about 100 Cadillacs.
Oh,
imagine the commission.
What's the average price of
Now,
Cadillacs?
wait a minute. In one weekend alone, Don, Elvis bought 14 Cadillacs in a weekend for his friends.
Wow.
Naturally, by the way, he got a bit of a discount, I believe.
Yeah, I would hope so.
And when he bought the Cadillacs, he wanted those cars... He wouldn't wait a second. If those cars couldn't be delivered, he'd go somewhere else. He wanted the cars straight away. As soon as he made up his mind, he wanted the Cadillacs. But 100 of them he bought here at this Cadillac place, still operating here in Memphis. Yeah. And imagine the money Howard Massey must have made in commissions.
Of course, they give him good service.
Elvis became so well known, he found it impossible to go to the movies as we would do. So he used to hire this little theatre after midnight, so he and his friends could watch movies till... Look who's appearing there, Don. Australia, AC/DC.
Is that right?
And there's the little door on the right where Elvis used to go in after midnight with his friends and so on. Billy Smith probably went in there with Elvis. And the favourite movies, of course, were westerns. Right. Now we come into something I suppose I found a little bit horrifying in a way.
I don't like
it.
all of this. I think it's just too commercial, all this stuff. Yeah, but go ahead, tell us about it.
Now, here we have the Jimmy Velvet Elvis Presley Museum on Elvis Presley Boulevard. Now, I'm going to walk in the entrance. I was just having a Coke there. Now, I'm walking in the entrance, and this is the greatest collection of souvenirs that I've ever seen anywhere in the world in my life. We're just going to show you some of the souvenirs here.
Well, not greatest, but most extensive, maybe.
Oh, incredible.
Greatest, yeah.
Elvis key rings, earrings, ashtrays, brooches, cigarette lighters.
It's amazing. You can't go anywhere here that they don't have an Elvis sign up, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. Really, you would never believe it till you came to a place like this.
It's like he never left.
Yep, that's exactly right. I don't think there's anything in this shop that they haven't made into a souvenir. I can't think of any other item. There's flags, stickers, badges.
Oh, yeah, I just saw license plates, rings, key tags. Look at these. My goodness, it just never ends, does it?
Yeah, they're the cigarette lighters. These are just plates of some really marvellous photographs. These are a lot of candid Polaroid photographs taken by various friends of Elvis who'd sold them to the Jimmy Velvet Museum.
Look at this. You're getting them from every era of Elvis. Look at.
Yeah, these are one of the calendars. This is a 1982
Oh,
calendar
isn't that
of Elvis.
incredible? Look at that.
Yeah, it's full of all sorts of things. I've never seen anything like this. There's money there with Elvis on it. Dollar notes with Elvis in the centre, Elvis spoons, of course. You couldn't go away without some spoons.
I was going to open one of these for Bert, but we ran out of souvenirs.
I thought you might have run out of space. And there are some of the key rings, the little mirrors there, little vanity mirrors.
When does it end? How much stuff do they have in here?
There's earrings. We've got a few friends here who are going to go to their office when they get back to Los Angeles and Australia and dress up in every single thing that they can. There's some of the mugs, for example.
You get way down.
Yeah.
There's some of the mugs. There's some more mugs.
Now we're in the actual museum, Don, and you'll find authentic articles in the museum, many sold by his friends. This is a double bed, one of Elvis's from his house in Hollywood, and you'll see there, look, made expressly for Elvis Presley. Isn't that incredible?
Oh, they could have put that tag on. Is that for real?
No, it's for real. We were sure.
Yeah.
In fact, the tag is not shown to the public. They took it off for us.
And what's
Another
this?
car.
Another Cadillac? No.
No, it's a 1974 Lincoln, a blue one, Don, given to Linda Thompson for her birthday.
Right.
Now, we're going to see all sorts of other things in this museum, really authentic things collected by Elvis. He liked a lot of guns, for example. He had guns, bullets, gun belts, and so on. They were quite a feature of his life. Bowling balls. He's rather keen on bowling and bowling alleys. There's a pair of his boots. And now you see Linda Thompson with him, and these are some of the clothes that he bought for Linda Thompson.
Yeah.
There we go. Those clothes were bought for Linda. These are some of the jackets he'd wear when he was touring around. Look, one of Elvis's bathing suits is in the museum, Don.
Oh,
and
my
believe it, these are his
I don't
briefs.
believe
Look,
it.
his briefs worn under his jumpsuit.
Oh, wait a minute.
Incredible.
Oh.
Isn't that? There's some. He's famous, of course, in the later years for his dark glasses. And there's, of course, the sort of pair that you recognise. I mean, really from the 1970s
Is that stuff
onwards.
for sale or just on display?
No, they're not for sale. They'd be worth a fortune. Now,
Right.
all sorts of security badges from different states of America that he collected over the years.
Yeah, he did like police
And there's
badges.
the dog that he had in his bedroom. That's the RCA symbol, Nipper. He had that in his bedroom, and he also had it on stage, by the way. Now, this museum is also full of incredible paintings of Elvis, all painted by fans of his, Don, not painted by artists necessarily. This painting we're looking at is called The Legends of Elvis, tracing his life. You see Lisa Marie down there in the bottom right-hand corner?
Yes, right. Oh,
this
there's
is
one of
Jimmy
the
Velvet,
suits.
who owns the museum. Now, Jimmy is showing his newest acquisition. It hasn't gone on display. One of the jumpsuits worn by Elvis. I don't know if you know, Don, but there were 56 jumpsuits made from 1971 up to 1977.
How does this guy get all of this stuff? How does he get it
Well,
home?
it's mainly, he said, from friends of Elvis and people who used to work with him. And now we leave the museum and we go to a bit of fresh air in downtown Memphis to Elvis Presley Plaza. Now, here you find quite a reasonable sculpture of Elvis. In fact, it's quite stunning, this one. It stands about 9.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
And this is the city's tribute, Memphis's tribute, to really, Don, what you must call a phenomenal entertainer.
Well, he
to
just...
Elvis Presley.
It's like I
So
said, the
there we
legend
are.
just lives on. Thank you,
it's just
Kevin. I
incredible,
hope you all enjoyed that. That was... Where are we? We're over here. That's terrific stuff from Kevin.
Thanks, sir.
We'll be back, and we're going to be talking when we come back to one of Elvis's closest friends and confidants, George Klein. Thank you again, kid. Good stuff. Kevin will be taking us someplace else. So don't go ahead. I get the feeling Philip Brady is there whipping people up. I can sort of... popular Memphis DJ George Klein, this fellow right here, was a very, very close friend of Elvis. In fact, they went to high school together. George was on radio as a DJ, and he was one of the first to play and to plug Elvis's records. Now, George spent a lot of time here at Graceland. He spent a lot of time with Elvis. And he was one of the select few who was invited to the Elvis and Priscilla wedding. And in fact, here's another one, Elvis was the best man at George's wedding. So, with no further ado, oh, that's it. There you got a picture of it. Is that that's the wedding?
That's exactly.
Okay. Anyway, would you
Las
say hello
Vegas.
to? They call him GK here. His real name's George Klein, and he's a beaut bloke. Say hello to George, will you?
Hey.
All right. George, you were here, of course, with Elvis. You were with Elvis during those early days, you know, when everything seemed to have happened to him in about a year and a half. You know, how did he handle the success then?
He loved it, Don. It was like a dream come true. Elvis had always wanted to be in show business. He had wanted to be a movie star. He had wanted to be a singer. And when it started happening, it was just like a fantastic situation, a dream that you'd always dreamed about. Here it's coming actually true.
Would he say that? Would he
Oh, yeah. He couldn't believe. At times, we would drive up the gates of Graceland or their home, and he would turn to me and he'd say, "Hey, GK," he said, "Man, I can't believe this is really happening." And I said, "Elvis, I can't either, but it's great, man." You know?
Yeah. And it sort of affected him. We got a little piece of film we want you to see here. This is from the This Is Elvis movie. It's High Gardner doing an interview. You probably remember this.
That's a funny interview,
and it was a split screen, but it's very early in the piece when he just makes some success. Have a look here. We'll look at this.
2 years ago, you were earning $14 a week as a movie usher and then $35 a week for driving a truck in Memphis. Today, you're the most controversial name in show business. Has this sudden notoriety affected your sleep, your appetite, or the size of your head?
Not the size of my head. It's affected my sleep.
How much sleep do you get?
Well, I average about 4 or 5 hours a night, I guess.
Is that enough?
Well, it's really not, but I'm used to it, and I can't sleep any longer.
What do you keep in mind mostly? I mean, some of the songs you're going to do, or some of your plans, or what? What goes through your mind?
Well, everything has happened to me so fast in the last year and a half till I'm all mixed up, you know. I mean, I can't keep up with everything that's happening.
George, he was talking about having trouble sleeping there. Was that true? Did he have a lot of... Even later he had trouble, did he?
Yeah, well, in the early years, he had trouble sleeping, and he had a tendency to walk in his sleep. And this actually happened before he went into the Army. He didn't have the problem once he came out of the Army. But before going to the Army, everything was so exciting, and there was so much tension and so many things happening, like he just said there, so fast and so quick, that he really had trouble getting sleep tonight because he didn't know what was going to happen the next day, where it would be Ed Sullivan or Steve Allen or a Paramount Motion Picture. We didn't know, things were just snowballing, and the excitement was so great that it was hard really to get to sleep at night.
Did you ever see him sleepwalking?
Yeah, well, one time I spent the night with him over in his other house on Audubon Drive before he moved here at Graceland, and we were getting ready to go to Hollywood to do the motion pictures Jailhouse Rock. And I was sleeping actually in the same bed with Elvis because that house didn't have as many bedrooms. His grandma there and his aunt was there, and right in the middle of the night, he woke up and he started talking, and he got up and he started walking. Well, I had been kind of pre-warned that that ever happened, just to talk very calmly to him, just talk him back down. So you talked to him, and he talked, and I can't remember what he said, but I was a little scared myself.
That's got to be the all-time weird experience, right? This fella gets up and starts walking around. A lot of parties in this very room. Now, this room was added onto the house because he wanted a different sort of party room. And, in some of the books that they write about, they say, oh, GK, George Klein, he procured girls for Elvis. I think the word procuring is a bit strong. Why did they throw that, sort of give you that label?
Well, actually what happened, Don, was I had a TV show here in Memphis for 12 years, sort of an American Bandstand type show.
Oh, like Bandstand, with kids dancing.
And I had a lot of beauty queens on my show, and I ran into a lot of attractive young ladies, and a lot of them would express the fact that they would like to meet Elvis, you know. Yeah. So I'd say, okay, the next time he has a party at Graceland, I'll call you and I'll invite you. And so Elvis would call and he'd say, hey, we're going to have a party at Graceland tonight and invite over some people.
It was very difficult for him, I suppose, for him being the celebrity that he was, especially in this town, to be able to go out and meet girls. I mean, he couldn't go anywhere without drawing a crowd.
He couldn't go to nightclubs, and he couldn't go to ballparks, and he couldn't go to social functions. No, it was almost impossible. So he had his own group of friends and his own parties within his own confine here at Graceland. And so consequently, I would invite a bunch of ladies up, and we'd have a party in this very room right here, or we'd be downstairs where you and Billy were earlier in the pool room or in the TV room. And I would introduce Elvis to the ladies. I'd say, Elvis, this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. And if he took a fancy to one, then he would spend a little time with her and perhaps maybe start dating her. And that's basically what
Well, you introduced him to two, I mean, that were pretty long-lasting ladies with him. After he got divorced from Priscilla, of course, you introduced him to Linda Thompson, who was his girlfriend for how long?
Linda was with Elvis for a couple of years, right.
And then, of course, Ginger.
Well, that's a funny story about Ginger, Don. Actually, what happened was, Ginger's sister really wanted to meet Elvis, and she had just won the Miss Tennessee title in the Miss America pageant. She was a very attractive lady. So we were going to have a party here at Graceland, in fact, in this very room. And so I called Terry, and I said, Terry, would you like to come up to the party tonight? She said, sure. She said, but do you mind if I bring my sister? I said, no, the more the merrier. You know, she was attractive. I figured her sister would be kind of cute. So I never will forget, the doorbell rang, and I went to the door and opened the door. And here is Miss Tennessee, who is gorgeous, but standing next to her is an unbelievable-looking lady, which is her sister, Ginger Alden.
And
so
he liked her better than her?
So, making a long story short, we come in, I tell Elvis, you're not going to believe how pretty her sister is. Yeah. So what happened was Elvis fell in love with her sister, which happened to be Ginger Alden.
Unbelievable. Where were you when Elvis died? He died in his house. Where were you?
I was at that time, Don. For a short period of time, I left radio and television, and I became a public relations director for a theme park here in Memphis. And I got a call at the park from a couple of TV stations. They had said, hey, George, we have a wild rumor, unconfirmed sources, that Elvis has passed away at the Baptist Hospital. And I said, oh, it couldn't be. You know, we'd heard those rumors many times before. Yeah. So I picked up the phone, and I called Graceland. And when I called here, Elvis's daddy's girlfriend, Sandy, answered the phone. And there was a quiver to her voice, and it kind of upset me at that moment. And I said, Sandy, this is George. And she says, yes, it's true. Oh, wow. And you could have, just like somebody stabbed me with a hot knife or something. I couldn't believe it. I just felt cold chills all over.
Did you come here?
So I immediately got in my car, and I broke every speed law in Memphis. I didn't care. And I zipped out here at about 100 miles an hour. And when I came in, everybody used to always come in that door over there. Yeah. And I came in, and as I came in, everybody was over in that area, in that tan chair right over there, was sitting Mr. Presley.
Oh, wow.
And he was crying his heart out. And when I saw that, I just fell apart myself. Okay. And Mr. Presley came up and grabbed me, and I grabbed him, and he said, George, my son has died. And I just couldn't believe it, Don.
Sad day for you and this whole town, too. Yeah. George, thanks very much. If you want to hang around just for a minute,
sure.
You're gonna see somebody who can really rock away. Being a DJ and all that, you really appreciate it. This guy's had a whole resurgence to his career. You know, his name is Jade Hurley, and he'll be coming up after this commercial break. Thank George Klein, in case we don't get the chance to do it later. GK, good friend of Elvis Presley. Thank you very much, and welcome back. They like us. I guess they like us. We're back with George Klein. George, in the later years, of course, there weren't a lot of press conferences with Elvis. We didn't see them, but a lot of people think that he avoided the press. But he handled the press very well, didn't he?
He had a very good rapport with the press, Don. He was in motion pictures for 10 years, so consequently, he didn't do press conferences. Once he started touring again in 1969, 1970, the Colonel, when in various cities, selected cities, the large ones, he would allow Elvis to do a press conference. And one of the toughest ones, I think, that he faced, but he handled so well, and I think that you'll be able to see this, was the New York press corps. As you know, they are probably the toughest in the United States because they can pop questions at you. But Elvis had a knack for taking their questions and turning them around and making them funny. He had a great wit about him, and he could win the press over just like that. In fact, if you've got some film of that New York press conference, you'll see what I mean.
Here, we'll take a look at it now.
Mr. Presley, what is your opinion of war protesters? And would you today refuse to be drafted?
Honey, I just seem to keep my own personal views about that to myself. Because I'm just an entertainer, and I'd rather not say.
Do you think other entertainers should also keep their views to themselves?
No.
Are you satisfied with the image you've established?
Well, the image is one thing, and a human being is another, you know.
How close is the image to the man?
It's very hard to live up to an image, I'll put it that way.
What about your image as a shy, humble country boy?
Oh, I don't know what makes them think that. You know, this gold belt and
Anyway, thanks a lot, George. I really appreciate you coming and everything. It's been terrific. And I want you, this will be a little treat for you. This guy, Jade Hurley, he's been just packing them in every place he ever works, you know. He sits down behind this piano, and he just tears them to shreds. Being a DJ and a fan of rock music, you're really going to appreciate this.
Well, Don, where we are now is the room that's just been set up, actually. It's just been set up in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
I keep feeling about that delay again.
Yeah.
Where we are now, we're in the trophy room. You've got all sorts of things. I mean, a letter from Richard Nixon from the White House.
Oh, it is too.
Invitation to the inauguration of Lyndon B. Johnson. Letter from J. Edgar Hoover and so on. And just over there, by the way, is something from Australia I thought you might be interested in. That's from RCA Australia. You've got the big gold map in the middle, of course. You know what that is. And each of those albums in Australia had sold over 1 million copies. So
That's
RCA presented that to Elvis. And that, of course, was amongst his prized possessions in here. This, as I say, has just been set up a couple of days ago. Things were in another area.
This isn't even finished yet, is it?
No.
Eventually, this will be a place that people have to walk through to see all of these things.
Yeah, when they come to visit Graceland,
look at this,
they'll be
plaques
walking through.
And plaques here for every one of these represents...
These are the Golden Boot Award from RCA Records for different songs, different albums and so on, for the legendary performer, as they called him.
Yeah.
You've got stuff from all over Australia, from all over the world and so on. And what I want to show you now is just a little bit of film that we made just a couple of days ago. And this is where all this stuff was originally. This was across in the racquetball court while they're waiting to store it. This has been the storeroom for Elvis's incredible collection of memorabilia, awards, trophies. I mean, it's just never-ending, Don. And in a moment, you'll see me down there with a TV set, which was presented by RCA for him selling 50 million records, which is quite a while ago.
Wow.
In boxes, there were 145 gold and platinum records. There were 5 Grammy Awards, I found. There's a huge painting of Elvis, which dates back to about 1976. There's awards from record companies for sell-out concerts, for his karate activity.
This, by the way, is inside the
racquetball
court.
Yeah, this is before the stuff was sorted. I wandered around there for days. You can't get out of that place. I mean, it's just, there's so much stuff. His own personal photographic albums, and we collected photographs, Polaroid photographs that he'd taken himself.
What are those
trophies? Look at all those awards. They're for everything. As I say, from sporting organisations, for karate, for selling 1 million records of this, for his best films. There's a Bing Crosby Award down there, the Bing Crosby Award of 1971. This is where all this stuff we're setting up in here comes from. That's the racquetball court. Right. There are a couple of awards there. I mean, there's just so much stuff, it's mind-boggling.
And, of course, they've set up this thing in here this way with all of these, there's paintings in this place, and there's also all of these...
That's a painting from 1967.
And these,
a rather good painting, actually.
That's excellent. And these mannequins here, like there's the leather suit that he wore in a Hawaii Special, his army uniform. Here's the other thing here. Yeah, it's really interesting. What's this stuff here, Kevin?
Well, look, this is a whole lot of petitions, thousands of petitions asking Elvis not to go into the army, because these fans didn't want him to go to the army. But look, I've got something I want to show you here. This is from Australia.
Yep. Okay.
This was for Elvis's 35th birthday, and it was sent by his Australian fans. It's called the Sound of Elvis Fan Club. You open it up, and there's a poem there called Our Loyalty is for Eternity. And then look at these all Australians who sent this book in 1967.
These people are going to be seeing themselves from 1967. That's something. I mean, get a shot at here. There's a leopard skin suit you probably borrowed from Elvis, I think. It's
Jill Stark, vice president of the club. She's from America. This one. Here's one from Launceston, Tasmania. This is Maureen Taylor. Maureen, where are you?
I wonder how many of these people would recognize themselves in this book, or how many of these people... It'd be interesting to meet some of them in Australia, wouldn't it?
Fantastic, wouldn't it?
Isn't that unbelievable?
They went to such a lot of trouble with that book, and that was one of his prized possessions. That's one that I found down there in the racquetball court before we brought it.
What are these wires here?
Oh, look, there's some telegrams when Elvis died. Look at this one, for example.
My deepest sympathy, I feel for you, take care. Elaine Green, Tasmania. They've saved all of these wires. Look at
all
this.
The telegrams are
What's
here.
this
There's
one?
Another one from Sydney.
The Carlton family, Sydney, our deepest regrets. Look at the way they've saved that as well. We're only showing you the ones from Sydney, but there are others. Here's one from Isaac Hayes and a whole bunch of others. They've saved all of these wires, which will be on display.
By the way, this is something that he would never travel anywhere without. This is a couple of silver hands joined together, presented to Elvis for his one of the 10 outstanding young men of the nation in 1970, presented by the United States JCs. And he was so fond of this, he carried it everywhere he went and just wouldn't go anywhere without it.
Okay.
So there we are, Don, just to look at a few of the incredible trophies.
And soon the public will be able to walk through here and be able to see all of these things that they have. They're setting it up like a museum. Commercialism, a tribute to a man, who knows which is right or which is wrong, but there certainly is a lot of stuff, and it shows off what a career it was. When we come back, we're going to talk with Billy Smith again, Elvis's cousin. You're going to meet Janelle McComb, who's a very good friend of the family, and Uncle Vesta Presley. Don't you go away. How about a hand for Kevin Arnett? He's done it again. Thank you very much, everybody. And welcome back. Billy Smith is back with us again, Elvis's cousin. Billy, why don't you introduce me to these two people? It's very funny, by the way. Miss McComb just said, we'll introduce you to me. Miss McComb just said, there hasn't been this much light in this room as far as she could remember. It was always sort of subdued in here, wasn't it?
It was kind of dark.
Billy, tell me...
This is Miss Janelle McComb, and she met Elvis when he was a little boy, and Vernon and Gladys in Tupelo. And she has remained very close friends with the family ever since.
Oh, great. Well, say hello. This is Janelle McComb, everybody. Hello. And on your left, of course.
And this is Vesta Presley. This is Vernon Presley's brother, and, of course, Elvis's uncle. And he's been here ever since Graceland
You've been on the gate most times. You're at the gate and you take care of all the tourists as well.
Yeah, I've been...
Hang on just a second. They're applauding for you, Uncle.
I've been on the gate since 1957.
Yes, I bet you met more Elvis Presley fans than anybody else in the world, I suppose.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I guess I have. I used to walk them all up, you know. We started touring in 1958, October 58.
They ever give you a hard time trying to sneak in or any of that kind of business?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah?
They sneak in all during the night.
Oh, did
So I worked about 15 years at night.
Really? Yeah.
I had a problem, you know.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Hey, you know, so you're a close part of our family and you stayed here. I think it's terrific. You're doing the job
so I just stuck with them. But what I mean, as far as the fans, they give us a problem, man, for a while.
The fans did?
Yes, as long as he was
You have to call for help?
No, we handled it pretty well.
Yeah. Didn't have to holler for a sheriff, eh?
No, sir.
Miss McComb, tell me now about, when was the first time you ever saw Elvis?
The first time I saw Elvis, he was approximately 2 years old, and his mother and I were getting a permanent at the old Tupelo Beauty School. And someone came in and said, there's a man sitting on the steps with a little baby and a little boy, and he's crying his eyes out. And Miss Presley said, I think that's Elvis. So we followed her down to see, and Elvis was crying. And that was my first time to really remember Elvis Presley and who he was.
And you've been a friend of Elvis and the family ever since, eh?
Yes, I have.
Can I just show people this? Because I find this interesting. Here's the TCB symbol.
TLC is what the women wore, and the men wore TCB.
Well, taking care of business, what's TLC?
Tender loving care.
Tender loving care. Can you ever look at that? And that's a diamond in there, too. Elvis gave you that.
Tender loving care. That means treat your women with tender loving care, and the men took care of business.
I always try to do that, you know. What about coming to Graceland? You came to Graceland quite often?
Well, when
Billy was always here.
Right, and because we never infringed our rights. We came, we would always show the courtesy of calling, letting them know. And we visited not only with Elvis, but with Billy and Vester and the entire family.
Billy's always polite to everybody when they come here.
One of my fondest memories, one day I came in the back door and they'd hired a new boy. And I think his name was Steve Smith, and Billy was sitting here, and immediately he jumped, and Billy said, don't bother her, that's Miss McComb, she's our friend. So I went upstairs and I said, Elvis, I'm so impressed with Billy's manners, and he said, you should be, I raised him.
Yeah.
So,
he did that, Billy? He raised you?
Yes, in a sense he did, because I was here at the age of 14, and I was with him from 14 on, you know, so really I was with him when I was my family.
And so you must have learned the entire business. I mean, you went on the road with him, you worked on tour with him, you watched after him in the house here?
About 20 years, and I never learned anything.
Well, don't feel like the Lone Ranger. None of us do, you know.
I learned a little bit, you know, over the years, how to, you know, respect his fans and everything, because realized, you know, that they just wanted to see him or something like that, so.
Uncle Vester, because you were here and on the gate all the time, did you get to go and see Elvis in concert as well?
Oh, yeah, in the early days I did, but it got to where I was too busy, you know.
Too busy on the gate?
Didn't really care to, in a way, because I was tired all the time. So.
Too busy taking care of business?
Yeah, taking care of business.
You got it.
Anyway, all those girls.
Uncle Vester, Janelle McComb, Bill, thank you so much for talking with us. You know, it's really nice to get part of the family in here. I love that part. I didn't expect that we were going to, and it's really nice of you to come in.
Well, it was a little early.
And if we get any calls and they want to make you a television star in Australia, you are available.
I am really too old to be a star.
Yeah.
Right, you have to leave this to the jet set, Billy.
You're a good audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Okay.